Well, welcome back to Show Me the Money Rugby League TV. This is part 2 in our Super League 2025 season preview. As we've done in part 1, we have covered the clubs alphabetically. So we've already done Castleford Tigers, Catalan Dragons, both Hull clubs, and of course the Leeds Rhinos. And we've also put Huddersfield in there as well. Let's not forget them. Jimmy has joined us. So Jimmy, we've already done where the first 6 clubs are going. So I will go through mine that I have done. Probably bottom up. So I had Castleford Tigers in 12th, Huddersfield Giants in 11th, Hull FC in 10th. I have got the Catalan Dragons 6th and the Leeds Rhinos 5th. Where have you got those first 6 clubs?
In alphabetical order, I've got Castleford rock bottom.
Same as me.
No surprise.
Danny.
I think
Danny.
Most have now. I think if Danny can get him anywhere but bottom, he's done well.
On paper, as we said, they look the weakest team.
I think the weakest squad. I think Joe said it. I think I've got them and Huddersfield as the bottom 2, but I just think Huddersfield have got more depth. And we still haven't seen Rowan, Milnes, and we still haven't seen Adam Clune, and they'll both make significant difference to them. But
yeah, 100%.
I'm edging with Huddersfield because I just think they've got that bit more depth. Catalans, I've got them. I think same as you, and I think Joe's a bit undecided. But I've got them just sneaking in. I think the home advantage is probably for me going to give him the edge over Leigh. They were my coin toss for who gets that last spot in the playoffs, which. Yeah, again, I'm writing off Salford at my will here again, dangerously. But yeah, I think Catalans, hopefully, I totally agree with Joe. I thought in that Halifax game, their winger, Cottrich, centre.
Yeah.
I thought he was their best player by a mile, and I thought he looked like he could be right up there as one of the top try scorers, even from centre if he stays injury free. So yeah, hopefully their new signings will make them stronger than last year. Hopefully Sam Tompkins doesn't have to play many games for him. But a big hole to fill it at 9. That's my big worry for them because no Mickey Mack and their loose forward, who I've always thought really highly of, he's going to have to play 9 this year, isn't he? So with Partington arriving, and he's not really a 9. So yeah, I've got him sneaking in. Then who was next? Was it
the Hull clubs?
The Hull clubs. Hull FC 10th. I think Wakefield finish above them, so I've put them in 10th.
Well, I've got them 10th. That's weird. All 4.
Yeah, just
no,
a bit.
I've got them at 11th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you swapped Huddersfield. Yeah, I mean, lots of signings. Asiata, I think, is their best signing, but his injury problems, I don't think he's going to make the start of the year. So they're a team for me that will probably have some good wins at home, but they'll probably have a period where they really struggle. So I don't see them. I'd like to think Wake is positivity and their bounce into the new division. I think they might finish above them. Hull KR, I'll listen to Craig Harrison stick him at the top. Big call, but if anyone's going to topple Wigan, I agree with him. I think it is them, but I still don't think we will. So I'm putting him in second.
That's where I've got Rovers.
I think they'll be the best of the rest. Like Reece Martin, great signing. Someone mentioned about his kicking. I think,
Dad.
Yeah, really good point. Because so many games, certainly when you're playing the teams around you, can easily come down to kicking. And last year, it's the only thing that Mikey's not good at, and Reece is as good as anyone. So that could be a nice little addition, as well as what he brings in general play. So yeah, Hull KR second.
That leaves Leeds.
Not quite enough to pick Wigan. Leeds is my big call. I've got them third, but this was before I had them third before Sevo got injured, and obviously that could be a monumental loss for him. But I'm gonna keep him there because
one player doesn't make a team.
It doesn't, but he's a big loss. The meters he would have got with Ryan Hall coming out the back. The reason is I'm not convinced by Warrington and Saints. I do think they'll complete the top 6, but I don't see any reason why Leeds can't get that third spot. I think the last couple of Brad Arthur has clearly gone in there and made some big changes. And this is absolutely nothing against Rowan, because we're all big fans of Rowan. But one player who I've never been a fan of and I've never been convinced by is Harry Newman. And the last interview Brad Arthur's done is basically saying he thinks he's seen a huge change in Harry. And if he can change Harry, then the effect he must be having on others must be massive as well. I think they were unfortunate last year with a lot of injuries. I think they've always one prop short for me last year, and they've got Palacia. They've now got him alongside Lizone, Big Mick. Tom Holroyd still is due that really big season. So, yeah, for that reason, I think that Leeds, there's no reason we can't do it. I'm convinced Brodie Croft will have the best year he's had, ever. Even better than his best year at Salford. I think the platform's set for him to be getting a lot more good ball in good positions. And I think Jake the Snake could be that key ingredient, which can just also, with his versatility, make a huge difference to him. So, yeah, I'm putting my heart and head together on this one, and I think there's no reason why Leeds cannot get that third spot.
Wow, so there we go. Big call by Jimmy Mack, placing the Leeds Rhinos in third. Obviously, Jimmy wasn't on the first part, so you've listened to what Jimmy said. Let us know in the comments if you agree where Jimmy's got them. And as always, thank you for your interactions, and we appreciate you watching. So like, subscribe. There is the Championship, the League One show's on the way, and also we have a very, very special show coming out as well, which will have a look at what the big news, of course, has happened in the last 24 hours, which is the vote of no confidence going in against Simon Johnson and the RFL hierarchy. More on that later. We're moving on to Leigh Leopards. Well, what a great story, Leigh Leopards. Derek Beaumont, for years he has been seen as this Marmite decisive character, but he has firmly put his money where his mouth is. When you look at the rise, they cleared and cleaned up in the Championship. They've won the Challenge Cup. They've been in the playoffs for the last 2 seasons. And how many people, be honest now, listeners, how many people last July when Leigh were 9th actually thought Leigh would get in the top 6 and end the season like they did? They made it to the semi-finals. Yes, it was 38-0 to Wigan. It was a game too far, but they went to Salford, beat Salford. It was a great occasion, and what a great season by them. But obviously, write them off at your peril. This season, there is those sort of strong grounds for doubts over whether or not having achieved this upward trajectory in the last 2 or 3 seasons, whether or not that is going to continue. They have been forced into what I would call significant upheaval. You look at players like John Asiata, Tom Amone have gone, Kai O'Donnell, Zach Hardacre, Oliver Holmes, Matt Moylan's retired. But oh boy, I tell you what, you look at some of the players that they've brought in, like Telsey New from the Dolphins, Isaac Liu from Gold Coast Titans, David Armstrong. A lot of people are tipping David Armstrong from the Newcastle Knights to be the man of steel. I've seen a lot of people already looking at those generous odds supplied by Betfred, and people going crazy for that. Obviously, they've got a couple of unknown players. Ethan O'Neill from the Burley Bears, Will Brough, a youngster from Wakefield, AJ Towse from York, a very, very good project player. If you're talking about Championship players making the step up, then AJ Towse is one of those. We'll get your thoughts in a minute. And I tell you what's really, really interesting. I'm not sure how many people of you know this, but obviously Josh Charnley last year, he overtook Danny Maguire's try-scoring record. He is 6 behind Ryan Hall. You've got Ryan Hall back at Leeds. Charnley's already said in interviews he wants to be Super League's top try scorer, Super League's top dog. That is a great story, a great narrative for the new year. But look, fundamentally, Adrian Lamb still has Lachlan Lamb there. He's still got Edwin Ipape. I remember watching Edwin Ipape in the Championship absolutely tear it up. Again, you just knew he was destined to great stuff, and it's great to see him make that transition. Look, what I will say is this, Riley Leopards off at your peril. I think you might see similar to last season, purely because 7, 8, 9 key changes. I think it'll take time to get that cohesion, that connectivity. I think it's going to be a great roller coaster of a year for Leigh. But I think when they click, and I believe they will click, and what Derek is building at the Leigh Sports Village, we know he's got loads of bands coming on. He's investing in that matchday experience. Very, very hostile atmosphere. That counts for a lot. But big call. I have the Leigh Centurions, the Leigh Leopards. Sorry, Derek. I have you 4th. I have you above Catalans and Leeds. Big call by me, but I'm going to stick with it. Leigh Leopards.
So that's got anything to do
4th.
with you going to the game tonight, Mick? And
It is true. I am going to the DW tonight, and it's pretty much a sellout crowd.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate to have been offered a ticket, and I am a rugby league aficionado, and it is true. If you want me to come to your game and sprinkle a bit of PR and positivity, get in touch. Get in touch with my campaign manager. But no, look, joking aside, I am going to the game tonight. I think it's going to be an absolute ripper. I do have Wigan by 12. I think, as I say, there's a lot of components in this new 2025 Leigh side. I think it's going to take time to gel. I don't want to take up any more airspace. I've got Leigh Leopards 4th. I'm looking forward tonight. Super League starts, record crowd at the DW, 24,000 there. It's going to be great. Super League's back, Rugby League's back. This is the greatest sport on earth. I've got Leigh 4th. Over to you, Craig.
Well, thank you for that short input.
Derek, I want a tenner tonight. I'm joking.
Great points, Mick, by the way. The ones you said were going out, I think I'm all right with that. I think a lot of them were older legs and a lot of injuries, so I don't think they've lost. I thought Molan was sensational, but then after 10, 15 games, he obviously wanted to go back home, so he was the biggest reason for me where the season went. I got a chance to watch Armstrong 2 weeks ago. He's as fast as Jai, he's as fast as Bevan. He's got that 10, probably more. I'd say probably more, I'll be honest. In open space, he looks like he's got like something you're going to see on a dry patch. My worry would be the half-back combination. They played Gaz O'Brien with Lammy. I love Gaz. What a player. Like, you look at... I watched him as a young kid come to Stanley for Warrington, and John Bastin told me about him. What a career he's had, and he has took some hammer. The famous tackle when he got clipped, I can't remember the guy. And he's had some... Got a lot of time for Gaz. Don't know whether that is enough to get you in top 4. And I think if Gaz got injured, then they'd have to look for somebody else to come in there, and then I think that's when you're starting to... I don't think the top 4 probably got better cover. I think OKR certainly have got the cover this year to cover every single... Interesting though, they've sent Danny Rich to Huddersfield. I'm trying to think who would probably put Jez in there, because he's got 3 hookers. I think he'd probably put Jez at 7. 6 and 7 with Mikey. But I love what Leigh do. Best attacking team I've seen this year. Probably them and Wakey. They're going to score loads of tries. They've got some fantastic ins. Just mentioned young AJ. Joe can tell you a bit about that. With AJ and Wilbur. Because Chesney wanted to get a bigger squad, and he wanted some money ballers in, and he felt last year they had old legs. And when it come to replacing, whereas this year they're going to have a lot of positions where these young lads are going to be eating out of the, ready to go. So I've got them 6th, and I think I'd like to put them higher because I just love what they're doing. I just love what the club are doing, and they are without doubt. I tell you what, you watch tonight. I'll have a bet. We don't bet here. I'll have a statement. I think they'll put as many points on Wigan away today as any other clubs will all season. Because of the way they attack. Big call. You can put some comments in if I get it wrong, but I have a feeling they're going to get some points at Wigan.
Well, the first game of the season.
Yeah,
100%.
The way they shape up, honestly, unbelievable.
And especially first game as well. Wigan not necessarily.
Well, both teams. I just think they will. The way they attack.
I know Derek watches the show, and I'm sure he'll be pleased that 2 out of 4 have got the Leopards in the playoffs. Joe.
Me next, obviously. Yeah, I like what they've done with the squad. I like the building. They've got young English talent from the Championship. It's something that we've been calling for many years. That was my one criticism ever of the league. When Derek was doing this build over the last 3 years, it was like, well, where's the youth? And he's task Chesney with going and get them from, like I said, especially Championship one or two from one from Cass. Obviously, you've got Brad Martin in there. You've got Ryan Brown from Wigan mixed in, but you've got Andy Badrock, AJ Wilbrough from Wakefield. Obviously, was in the champ last year. So I like it. I like what they've done. They're all young players. They're all building. They're all potential to be great squad and become starters. Obviously, they've already give Wilbrough and Andy Badrock new contracts. And AJ was already on a 3-year contract added on. So yeah, all the news is they're all loving it. They're all thriving. The first team. Every time I speak to AJ, is that David Armstrong's name. I don't want to reiterate what everyone said on every single show, but David Armstrong seems to be the name of the talk right now.
Just on that, Joe, sorry, and I don't want to butt in, but I think he's only as good as he'll be. Lamb, he'll be there.
Yeah. I know, but that's who they're all
excited about.
So yeah, it will be just as good as. I think they'll be exciting. It's a bit of a rebuild year. Like you said, they've let go of 5 or 6 big names. Kai O'Donnell's ginormous. He's going to thing. You've got Asiatu, like you said, probably had a year left. But Amone, fantastic player. I think it's going to be a bit of a transition. I still think they're going to give us some of the best rugby we've seen this year in the attacking sense. But like I said, injuries. These young lads are still young. AJ could step it. Will Bruff's just picked up an injury, sadly, so he'll be out for a little bit. But I've got him 7th, Mick. I've got to be honest. I've got him 7th with excitement all throughout the year. But I think this year we're going to have loads of fun. Next year they'll come at us with. Hopefully they get to keep that core base and they come at us with some of the best rugby. And I think they'll challenge for the top 3 next year. But I think they've got one more year. I think they've got that transition of all the ones that got them up from champ to come in.
8 and 9 out, 8 and 9 in. It's going to be
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But there'll be some amazing things. But I've got them 7th.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm with Joe. Like I touched on before, I think they'll be the best of the rest. I think they're the only team that I've got outside the playoffs that I think could get in if they have a bit of fortune with injuries and the click together quite quickly. I think we have to absolutely trust Chris Chester and his overseas recruitment because his record, as you remind us of a lot, Craig, is outstanding, isn't it?
Number one.
So, you know, I do disagree with you in the sense that I am bothered about a couple of people who've left because I've been Kai O'Donnell's biggest fan since the championship days and I think he's a big loss. Asiata, on his day, you know, he was so important to him, wasn't he? Probably didn't play as many games last year as they would have liked, and that's going to be Hull's challenge. And Tom Amone, you know, a big loss because he was probably their best prop for me last year. But you look at who they brought in. I don't need to talk about the fullback anymore because, you know, that's been covered a lot. But the Isaac Liu and this Tessin Yu, the centre, and Isaac the 13. You can only imagine, you know, their CVs are good anyway, but you can only imagine that the due diligence done on them for how robust they are and what they think they can bring. I'd be very surprised if they don't work out. We all think really highly of Lammy, as good as any half in the league. I agree with Craig, nothing against Gaz, but after Gaz, I think they've got Ben McNamara on the squad, but I don't think they've got an awful lot of depth in that position. So yeah, I've only just sided with Catalans over Leigh, which is a bit hypocritical because I am so unsure about a lot of Catalan signings where I'm really confident in the Leigh ones, but I think their home advantage will mean that they pick Leigh to the last playoff spot.
Sorry, I didn't know about. Well, good point there about Ben McNamara. He's done great, and I didn't know they actually have got cover. Whether that's top 4 cover.
Yeah, that's what I suppose I'm saying really.
So Jimmy's got
just missing out, but I would not be surprised if they sneak in. I certainly don't think anyone I've got beneath them can challenge that top 6. But I said that about Salford last year.
It's almost like the positivity towards Leigh is at this end, and it kind of goes down. So Leigh Leopards 4th, 6th. 7th. We're moving on. Salford Red Devils. Oh, what a difficult call this is, especially when you look at just how tough Salford have been doing it. They're always doing it tough, but, you know, credit where credit's due, Paul Rowley. They had that epic achievement last year of finishing 4th in the table above St Helens, and we all know that disappointing first playoff game against Leigh when Leigh went there and beat them. We know they are under new ownership. I'm led to believe, as we do this now, that they're still going to be playing off a 1.2. So the squad that they sent to St Helens is going to be 1.2 mil because they're still in special measures. So even though they've been taken over, and I had to explain this to a number of people, because I went to the RFL and said just because they've been taken over, they've already had an advancement of the money. They need to pay that money back to get back to where they should be. They're in special measures until they do that, and the new owners, because obviously they've only just come in, I presume it will take time for them to get that money and pay that back, so they come out of special measures. So we know they're starting the season.
I thought the last article I read said that the 1.2 was only for the cup game, and that it's actually been lifted for this first game.
No, it's not.
Oh.
No, until the owners pay back the money.
Oh, so it could be for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Wow. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
okay.
like I say, they're doing it tough, and I guess the saving grace for Salford is they're playing a side that played 3 weeks ago in round 1, which is St Helens, who they had a very good measure of them. But look,
we did last year as well, didn't we? I think we took 4 points off Saints, didn't we? Last year? We certainly took 2 early on.
Yeah, there was the famous game at the Totally Wicked Stadium when I think Saints had 2 or 3 players in the bin and
1 sent off.
Yeah, and they got that late victory. Yeah. But look, it's certainly been very, very tough. And if you're a Salford fan, I know you're probably thinking we've still got a club, we've got new owners. Things are looking positive, and I tend to agree. What I'm hearing, certainly in the background, there's big plans to purchase the land, purchase the AJ Bell Stadium. Until that comes to fruition, though, as we've seen with other custodians of other clubs, you've got to wait for it to actually come to fruition. But let's just have a look at the ins and outs. Obviously, we've mentioned in the Catalans preview, Oliver Partington's gone to Catalans, Amir Brough and Kate Custer have gone to Hull FC, Adam Sidlow's dropped down to League One in the in League One with Swinton Lions, and there's been a couple of retirees, none more so than Andrew Dixon. In terms of players coming in, it has not. I mean, yes, you've got Justin Sangare, Issa Masters, the massive one from Huddersfield. He's their marquee signing. Sam Davis picked me up from the London Broncos. Chris Hill from Huddersfield coming towards the end, but brings that stability to the pack. And of course, Joe Bullock. When you actually look at Salford, and again, we're doing this, I'll be honest, I'm doing this with a lot of unknowns, because if the new owners are going to come in, they're going to pay back the money, they get the 1.2 lifted, and they then potentially look to invest and bring players in, then I've got Salford back in the top 6 again. But if it's going to be a season of turmoil where they're still playing off 1.2 3 or 4 weeks into the season, and obviously the new owners are focused on getting the land and the stadium, so that makes revenue, which helps Salford's IMG score. That, I think, is more important than the playing squad, because they know they have a little bit of a safety net. But I'll be honest, I don't see them in the playoffs. I think there's too many unknowns. I've got them 9th. But what I will say is, I think it's absolutely great that Paul King, the RFL, Michael Carter, who was in caretaker charge, put in by the RFL, have managed to secure this investment. And I know this investment hasn't just materialised overnight. I've been told this has been on the cards for a good 12, 18 months. But ultimately, you write Salford off similar to Leigh. You've got Paul Rowley, and if there's anybody who can beat the odds, who can beat, the crap and the shit and the poop that's been thrown at Salford with everything that's gone on, it is Paul Rowley. I spoke to him at the Super League launch. You know what? He is so calm, so composed, and that calmness to his squad. Get ready. Don't be surprised if they go to St Helens on Saturday night and pick up a big shock. I won't be, but I've got Salford in 9th. Too many unknowns for mine.
Thanks for that short and brief description, Michael. I think it was well said. I've also got them in 9th.
I'm glad we're on the same wavelength.
Well, they say great minds. I would say you covered a lot, Mick, so I'm not going to bore the viewers. No, I meant that. You've got some great points, but I think the biggest point is what we're all saying. I think we'll all say Paul and his staff, Aggie and all the staff, and that they'll use this as motivation. They always find a way to do something. Wouldn't surprise me if they win Challenge Cup. Wouldn't surprise me if they shock me if I put 9th and they finish 3rd. They're just magical, aren't they? They're survivors. They're magical survivors with absolute quality. Absolute. Don't be too alarmed about the 1 point to undercap. Cass wouldn't have had 1 point to undercap against Bradford at weekend. That's the full squad when we say 1.89. Sometimes these are the best at it. They'll find a way to match it, and you look down the list and go, oh my God, that's as good as starting 16 as I've seen. So they are the magical club at surviving. They are the magical club at playing the best, fantastic brand of rugby. In Braley, you've got 25 tries, and in Sneed, you've got best kicker in game. So, that's for me. I won't have enough to say. You said it all. 9th.
Yeah, same 9th. I think I think it's tough because a lot of the clubs have strengthened around them. I think a lot of them. There's been lots of new additions in every club from 9th above here. Like I said, Wake, you've signed a lot. I just don't think they can keep up. They're losing players. They're getting that year older now. We said Sneedy's legs were struggling 4 years ago. Can he go again and do another amazing season like he did last year? I don't know. If all signs is that he can, so I'll give him that. But I don't know. You're asking a lot for him to go again and again at that top table. So I've got him 9. Probably a bit more negative. I think I don't think they can afford a transition inside. That they've obviously not bought any youth through. They've got nothing to transition at the moment. So I'd say I'm 9th, but comfortable 9th and below. I'm looking 9 downwards. I'm being a bit more negative, sadly.
Just a quick point. The worry for Salford, like you say, Joe, with that lack of depth is if the injuries do bite and you're relying on Harvey Wilson's, Ben Helliwell's, Kai Morgan's, Nathan Connell's, Charlie Glover's, you're in serious trouble. There's no depth there.
Yeah.
And that's my worry.
I think the dream year was last year based on the squad size. Yeah. They did amazing things. I'm looking 9th down. If Hull have got the firepower to make a couple more signings, Huddersfield might try. Cass obviously going to try get a few more middles in and do what the room reported is doing. I think Salford might struggle a little bit.
Just a quick one. It tells you. I've never known a club go into special measures and not lose half the players. Paul Rowley did not lose a player. It is every club who said they wasn't going to try and pinch did. I've had Paul on phone for half an hour this morning when we were chatting. He said, I've got a long memory. I know exactly who came for it anyway. He's covered all bases. It tells you everything. He managed to keep everything. Callum had six offers.
Yeah.
They're offering him kitchen sink, they're offering Memi, they're offering this. How would have done it? Unbelievable.
Yeah, well, I've actually got him one place higher than you three. I think last year it was technically my worst call ever in any league for where a team will finish, because I'm pretty sure I had Salford 4th from bottom and they finished 4th, didn't they?
You've had worse than that.
You don't want to say that.
In fact, it's the only bad one I've ever had, if we're being really pedantic.
Yeah.
So.
If we are talking our bad predictions, nothing will ever.
We're not going back to Joe
and Keith.
Mick, you meant to be on my team.
Sorry, I am on your team, Joe.
You meant to be on my You've done me.
And guess what? My greatest prediction was predicting Robert Elston and what would happen. Anyway, we're not going on that.
Yeah, so for that reason, I've got him just pipping Wakey. I did sway here, but I do think Wakey. We'll get onto all. I probably won't, but I'm just backing him. I'm backing Rowley. I'm backing the togetherness. I do think that they've added a bit of size into that pack. I don't think they're any weaker than they were last year. So for that reason, I'm just siding with him that they might just have enough. Wakey's first year in the top flight. I think they'll have some really good games, but they could easily have a period where they struggle. And yeah, I've just given Salford the edge. Do I think that they can challenge the top 6? No, I don't. Like I said there, I think Leigh are the only team for me outside my 6 who I think can. But yeah, let's see what they do against Saints. Because that it could set them off to an absolute, thunderbolt start to the season using all this, trauma and adversity they've had. So yeah, I've got him 8th, just pipping Wakey to the 8th spot.
Salford 9th, Salford 9th, Salford
9th,
8th. I think we're all in agreement. They are just going to miss out of the.
But certainly
playoffs.
Too good to get dragged into that bottom stuff.
Definitely,
I think we all agree on that.
We're moving on. St Helens. Oh, this is a very, very difficult one for me. Obviously, St Helens. their worst ever season in the Super League era last year. They finished 6th. They lost in the first week of the playoffs to Warrington in that ripper of a game. And, credit to Paul Wellens, credit to St Helens, they really give their all. But, when you look at what Saints were last year, and I know there was the injuries, and I know that has severely tested the faith of the Saints faithful in Paul Wellens and the club itself. Let's be honest. My opinion, I think the club even now in 25 are still probably a long way off where they want to be and would expect to be. And, Paul Wellens is back. It's his 3rd full season in charge at the helm. He has yet to win a domestic trophy. There is a lot of pressure on the former St Helens fullback, the former St Helens great Paul Wellens, because St Helens are one of those big, what I would call 4-5 marquee clubs who have been there, done it, and had absolutely unprecedented success. He has got a new coaching team around him. And I'm not saying anything ill of Matty Smith and Lauren Fraser knew, who were both dismissed, and Leigh Breers, and obviously someone close to my heart who I worked extensively with on a weekly basis last year, Eamon O'Carroll, have come in. And when you speak to some of the Saints...
Sorry.
What?
I just come out with that. He banned you, didn't it, one time?
No.
I thought you were banned from talking to players at one time.
No, never been banned.
Idiot.
No, never been banned. No, never been banned.
Sorry.
Suspended, not banned.
Never been banned. Where does that come from?
I don't know. We shouldn't say rumours, should we?
No.
You got it back to Bradford though, so and that was
no idea. Anyway, look,
32 minutes for that mention.
Look, they've lost a lot of players. Lewis Dodd, Tommy Makinson, who I think is the absolute, cream of the crop with the amount of tries that he is going to bring to Catalans. Obviously, Matty Utai has retired. We know about Wonga Blake. He's gone to Bradford and he's really excelling in the Championship. The players that brought in, Tristan Saylor from the Brisbane Broncos, Kyle Fell, obviously Lewis Murphy from the Sydney Roosters. When you look at Saints and you look at what Paul Wellens, Eamon and Leigh are going to work with this year, it is pretty much like for like. Out of all the clubs, if we're saying Wigan are basically same for same with no ins, no outs, and you're going to say the next club with the least amount of movement is St Helens, Paul Wellens is effectively working with pretty much what he had minus Tommy Makinson last year. And,
Lewis Dodd.
Well, he didn't really play much, did he, Lewis Dodd, last year?
But he got in.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, Joe, you're not really going to, in my opinion, see the effects of Lewis Dodd. But look, last year was a disaster. They finished 6th. For what they're spending, there should be a hell of a lot more and competing and challenging. Yeah. I've got a big call on this, and I've no loyalty to anyone. I'm saying it as I think it is. I think Paul Wellens will be the first Super League coaching casualty of this year.
God.
And it will be Paul Wellens who goes first. I am looking that in as a big, bold, full 80 minutes, show me the money Rugby League team prediction.
Show me the Mick Leddell prediction.
Yeah, it's my prediction.
Would that change if they invited you to their first game of the season?
I don't want anybody to lose their jobs, but as we know, there's no room for sentiment in Rugby League, but I foresee a slow, poor start. I hope I'm proven wrong. I love Eamon, got a lot of respect for Leigh Breers, but I think if this is me putting my rep on the line, I think Wellens will be the first big casualty, and it will be Leigh Breers who takes over with the But I have St Helens in 7th. I have them missing the playoffs.
Big call, Michael.
If we review this at the end and that happens, my stock goes higher. If it doesn't happen,
can't go any lower.
St Helens to finish 7th, and Wellens, unfortunately.
God.
There might be a job, Paul, at Bradford when Brian goes next year. I'm joking.
Quick one on that. I think Rushy, if he were going to make moves, I think he brought the 2 lads in to help Paul.
Yes.
So his loyalty to Paul is unsurpassed. I think it's still hangovers. He would never want another Kieran Cunningham situation where they lose a legend who were the best player probably ever to play for Saints, and then he ended up in tears. And I don't think they want that at all. So I don't think there'll be any of that. Too classy a club. He's obviously replaced pace. He needed pace. I think you saw what Wigan have done for the last 3 years. They had Jai and Bevan both 10 on GPS. He's then gone and got Sailor, Murphy, both 2, I'd say 10. They reckon Sailor's electric, so you've got 2 10. Phelps is obviously not as quick, but stronger, physically stronger, so they've got real backup in there. I'm all right with Tommy going. I'm all right. I think Tommy done everything he could for that club, and they've done everything they could for Tommy. It was about time that was a shake-up. My one area, again, a bit like the last 2 or 3 clubs would be, if you're playing Wellesby at half, I said this pre-World Cup, and they had a great World Cup, and I thought, oh God, I got slaughtered, but I don't see him as a natural half.
I think Sailor's playing half.
I've heard the other.
Yeah,
they've now switched.
Yeah,
I've heard, that's what I've heard, but I'm not. That doesn't sit well with me. Johnny's not a kicking game. Johnny's unbelievable. Has been the most consistent player in Super League history for me. Consistent every week. He's probably. But I don't know how they get round the field. How does Jack Wellesby get him round the field? How does Johnny's got a box kick at best. Wellesby's got a left kick, but he's nothing on field position. If you took Sneedy and took top 3 halfbacks and put a pin in 4th place in our garden, I'd say Sneedy would be able to hit 4 points, probably
best
top 4.
Best kicker in Super
Well,
League.
not just probably top 4 5. Lammy can kick long and short.
Yeah,
I don't think either of them lads could do that. So that's my big worry.
Yeah.
They ain't got a Knuckle who can kick. That's Clark can kick. No. So you've got essential problems. So they'll have to play a different system than maybe what Brian Mack used to do when he struggled with kicking, started letting Callum kick this box kick. I don't know how he's going to do. I've got them in 5th place. I think they're a fantastic club, but they are on the change. They've got a couple leaving at end of year. They might have a couple coming in. It's probably going to be an 18-month change.
Big transition period.
But I think Rushy's the most loyal. They'll stick with what they've got. You'll see the unearthment of 2 or 3 juniors like we do every year at Saints. You'll go, wow, George Delaney, there'll be another Lewis Dodds, there'll be another. They just do it. That's what they do. The young fullback Robertson. I mean, how was he not in the game? If he's anywhere else, he's playing. He made the pre-season. I watched the game. He looked heavier, faster, stronger. So I'm thinking if they play him at fullback, where do they? So I'm not so sure where the 3 coaches, Breezy, Eamon, and Wellens, will have to play chess. I haven't got the answer. So 5th for me, guys.
Joe, over to you. St Helens.
A
season of struggle or a season of optimism?
A season of optimism for me. I'm a lot different than most. I think it was obviously a tough transition year last year, coming off obviously a closer one. They had the 3-peat and they've had 2 years now to really start figuring it out. I think they have. I think the youngsters are now coming through. I think we say Saints not winning it, but I think we see that top 4 St Helens and that top 3 St Helens that we've seen over the past few years. I love Murphy as a signing. I think so. Yeah, I'll give you credit there. I think I think that's a brilliant. That's exactly what they've needed. I think Sailor's exactly what they've needed. They have structure. Paul Wellens is very not five drives and a kick, but the Saints fans do. The one criticism of it, it's quite a plain type of rugby. But when you've got Sailor and Murph there running, just anytime there's a break, them children will be flying down the field. You'll be all right. Wigan without Giant Bevan, we've seen. I think without Bevan, the 50% win rate, 55%. Without that bit of top end speed, when we can play very structured like that, and I think Saints with that bit of added top pace, that top maverick type players, will make all the difference. Kyle Felt, yardage machine, played unbelievable in the NRL first round playoffs at the finishing off the season last year. So he's right there. I'm not worried about him transitioning. I really like them. Them youngsters are now, like you said, you've Saints. There were Delaney coming through. There's Dodds has left. So there were not loads of youngsters, or they doubted some of the quality of the youngsters. But can they be put straight in? Not many of them have been put straight in. The ones coming through will be, as we said, Robertson.
Whitby could be the answer.
Robertson,
Whitby could be the answer.
Just
not yet. He's still got. But I've got Robertson's. What he did last year, and this is coming from a lad who I watched 90% of the rugby I watch is Academy Reserve rugby. What he did last year in the Academy Reserve, then in Super League, was just absolutely crazy. Then you've got Owen Dagnall, who Saints fans will know of. He's a winger, that can play a bit of centre, bit of full back, who's just as athletic as Robertson, just as athletic, different, not quite as loose a feet, but just as athletic, going to be just as strong. He's going to be a star. And you've got, like I said, you've got a young George Whitby that can step in and kick around the field. Probably not the year for him yet, but we'll see the emergence of him. We've got more youngsters coming through. I think this is it. I've got them second, Mick. Long story short, love the signings. They've not had to make loads. They just needed they needed that try-scoring prowess that Dad spoke about some of the other teams. They've got it now. And I think second, I think they're in for a good year. The Wellens stick, I think, will quickly get quietened. You brought Brazy into as this attacking maverick coach, which Warrington give him a lot of credit for when he was there. So I think we'll see a lot of that come in. St Helens, second place for me, making a fantastic year to come.
Oh, listen, I've listened intently to what you've said, and
good.
I hope that happens.
I don't agree with any of it.
No, I hope that happens. I just don't look.
Yeah, well, no, I love it. I think Joe.
Poor old Jimmy keeps having to go last. Jimmy first on next.
I've got to go anyway.
No.
But I think, yeah, I've got a bit of everything there. I love what the narrative Joe's built there. I think you can only imagine Brazy is going to be a great addition, take a little bit of pressure off Wellens. There's no way for me they can have as bad a year as last year, and I think a lot of that was down to injuries and suspensions. They need to, some of their big middles and key middles, they need to sort the discipline out. They've missed too many games by getting banned. The only reason I've got them in fifth, I've got Leeds, Warrington and Saints battling out for third, fourth and fifth. The only reason I've put them below is I just worry about Johnny Lomax. I totally agree with Craig. He's been, one of the, if not the, well, probably till Bevan came along, the best Super League player for many years. But I just every time I watch him, I feel he just gets more and more battered and battered. If he doesn't play at least 15 and ideally closer to 20 games for him, I think that's going to be massive for him. I think if they have to go without him, for me, he could be the most important individual player in all of those top five teams. If he can stay fit and he can stay playing, then I don't think Joe's wrong. There's no reason why they can't challenge for that second spot. But I've stuck him in fifth. Yeah, I don't know what else to say really.
No, fair enough.
Then I'm going to have to go because I've got a massive meeting with. Could be the final piece for the Bradford Bulls to win that league, Mick. So you won't want to keep me held up any longer, I don't think.
Certainly not.
Do you want me to fire through my places dead quickly?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so pretty much covered them all.
He's still stunned about your last comment.
He's thinking, his mind's thinking. His mind thinking. Got to meet Matt Shaw to give him the exclusive, then straight to...
I've already put the exclusive down.
Wigan top, don't see anyone stopping him. I just think, I know they've not made additions, but they went for a lot of the year without Brad O'Neill last year, and I thought young Forber did really well coming in and Cruz did well, but I just think Wigan will do it. Hull KR main rivals. Leeds I've stuck in third, as you know, with Warrington and Saints battling it out just behind them. Catalans I've given them the last playoff spot. I think Leigh could challenge them to that. Below them I've got Salford. Wakey, I think fourth from bottom would be a decent enough year for him. Certainly not getting dragged into that battle at the bottom. Hull FC 10th, Huddersfield 11th, Castleford 12th. Brodie Croft, Man of Steel. I think he's in for a massive year if Leeds do what I think they can do. Tom Ashton, top try scorer, because he's the most proven and he's at the perfect age. He's robust. He probably would have been top try scorer last year had he played as many games as Marshall. December young player nailed on if he still fits into the category. If he's only 20 years old, but sometimes there's a rule if you've played more than a certain number of Super League games. But if he fits in, he'll walk it. I think he'll have an even better year than last year. Still improves week in, week out. Going to be a frightening year for him. Signing of the year, Jake Snake. If it goes well at Leeds again, I think he could be so useful, helping out at half-back, doing a little bit at full-back, and even at centre if we need it. So there you go. Sorry I've got to go, boys, but good luck with the rest of it.
That's all I miss, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, we've got 3 more clubs to go in our Super League preview for the new 2025 Super League season. We've already done Hull Keystone Rovers, Leeds Rhinos, St Helens, Leigh, Catalan, Salford, Hull, FC, Castleford Tigers, Huddersfield Giants. We're now on to Wakefield Trinity, who, you know, this 2025 season, it is eagerly awaited. The return to Super League and a brand new, modernised Bellevue. We were all there for the Luke Gale testimonial. I experienced the main stand a few times last season, and it's great to see, you know, Wakefield riding on a high back into Super League on the back of on-field success. You know, since Matt Ellis has come in, he's invested significantly. You know, the turnaround from Michael Carter and John Minards to where Wakefield now, you know, it's chalk and cheese. It is really unbelievable. And as I say, you know, there's a lot to be optimistic about Wakefield's return to Super League after their season in the Championship. You look at players who they have on the coaching staff, former players who've now retired from the game, Matty Ashurst, Luke Gale, 2 great figures who will help and assist Darryl Powell. They've brought in a raft of new signings, 12 new signings. I'd say maybe 9 to 10 of those are marquee. You look at England internationals, Tom Johnston, Mike McMeekan. You know, you look at your Matty Staughtons, Jake Trumans, Oliver Russells, Cameron Scotts, Corey Halls. You know, Leigh have shown, you know, last season it's possible to make the playoffs straight after promotion. Although you probably would say this Wakefield squad as a whole probably doesn't have that investment and experience what Leigh had when Derek, of course, did it and they come straight up and went straight into the playoffs. But I think it's really going to be a really exciting season. And, you know, one of those young players, he was the Championship Young Player of the Year. I'm really looking to see how Oliver Pratt goes in Super League because he was quite prolific, very, very fast. Very, very impressive, powerful running. I've seen all Wakefield's games so far this season. I've seen the pre-season games. I saw their first game against School at the weekend, as we already said in the Challenge Cup review. Very, very ruthless, showing no mercy. It seems to be working in the halves. And I think it's going to be a really exciting season. As we said, Mike McMeekan, Tom Johnson from the Catalan Dragons, Cameron Scott, Jake Truman from Hull FC, Oliver Russell, Corey Hall, Matty Staunton, Hull Keystone Rovers. You know, Josh Walk, fully fit after his injury concerns, Matty Russell, another young starlet who might get some game time, Jaden Myers from the Bradford Bulls, who I really highly rate. And as I said on this show many, many times ago, you know, the people at the top of the club is how the club functions. You know, they are the custodians and everything. What Matt Ellis did in that deal was thumbs up. You know, he could have waited for Jaden to be out of contract and got him cheap, but no, he paid the compensation and plus some extras. And that tells me, you know, you've got a really honest, transparent person who cares passionately. And, you know, Matt Ellis wants playoffs, he's targeting playoffs. Will they get in the playoffs? I personally think they will just fall short. But oh boy, I wouldn't be shocked, you know, if they finish above Saints, above Catalans and get that 6th spot. I've got them 8th. I think it's going to happen a little bit too soon. I think a year back in the Super League stabilised, similar to Doncaster in the Championship last year. But I would not be shocked if they emulate what Leigh did when they won it all in the Championship and come up and made the playoffs. I really can see Wakefield being there, but I think it might just be a season too soon. But listen, Wakefield fans, let us know in the comments. I've got you 8th. I'm sure you will be more than happy with that in terms of progress. Over to you, boys.
Yeah, good points, Mick. You managed to mention Matt Ellis 9 times there. So, Matt, if you're listening, Mick's looking for a kitchen for his new house, and anything you can do will be well appreciated. Matt Ellis. Mick, great club, great coach club. We need Wakey flying. They will fly this year. I've got a 8th. Steve Mills, we think, along with Chesney, the best. Me and Joe work daily basis, and these are the 2 guys who are absolutely bang on it 7 days a week. I've actually started with Steve myself, saying, Steve, can you have a look at this player for me? And he's like, I never used to do that. I trust him to do it. His database now for players is scary. They get immediate stats on every player. Chesney overseas, I think, but Steve's everything's right. Powley has got so much anger, and I'm using the word anger, but I think to prove people that Warrington was not his. You know, if Powley lays down his hat, which I think he will do within 18 months, I think he wants to lay it down as being remembered as an absolutely quality top level coach. I think the Warrington thing hurt him and hurt Darryl Powell I like the coaching staff, Shenton, Kirkmond, Gale, I've missed somebody out there. I hope I haven't.
Ashurst, Mixer, didn't you?
Yeah, Matty Ashurst, Luke Gale, yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, I just think the full coaching staff, it's an happy camp. For me, I think Jake Truman will push this year to be the England at the end of the year. I know people have still got question marks on them, but I am. I think if he's fit. You know, I always had a dream of Gailey and Danny playing together at England. I never got it. I probably got a dream of, you know, looking at Truey and Mikey and doing that. We're rowing on bench. No, you know, with that type of thing. And I just think that combination. So I think they've got everything to play for. They've got some great money ballers. They've got some great development players. I mean, you've mentioned the young lad from last year.
Oliver Pratt. Really impressed with him in the Championship.
Yeah, we've got Corey Hall, who I think is just waiting for his breakout year where he'll score 25 tries and go on to play for, you know, the Knights. But the biggest gamble they've got this year, Uddy's quality, but Liam gets injured for whatever, he's going to have to play a lot of minutes. I don't know whether that cover at hooker, whether they actually...
Tom Doyle, yeah.
Thomas, and whether they put Ollie Russell at hooker if he doesn't play 6 or 7, because the best combination so far, as used to with the thing where Molino and Truey, it's been sensational.
Yeah, Jowett, Leno, Truman, yeah.
So will they go that way? It's got a few combinations. They've got cover in most positions. Hooker's the one they haven't got the cover, in my opinion, on, and somebody who can go and just electrify the ruck. And I think if they could get that, then I think I'd buy them higher. But I've got them 8th. I think Powley's got too much to prove. In the owner, like you said, one of our favourite people in the game. His breath of fresh air. We sat at the table 4 weeks ago. His interaction with the fans, his interaction with us, his interaction with players is a joy to be around. And it's in that line of 4 or 5. And I'm after a kitchen and all. Now, over to you, Joe. I've got him. I've got Wakey 8th. I think it's fantastic if they do get 8th, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see him challenge cup final.
Yeah, I've got a mate myself. Yeah, love what they're doing, love what they're building.
What did Jimmy have?
9th. Love what they're doing, love what they're building. Doing it the right way. Mix of youth, mix of experience, good characters, good people. Not much else to say about it, really. I like putting money into the youth. Just signed Ellis Lingard on a new 3-year deal. They're looking to build up some of the other lads. I like everything they've done so far. They're going to keep building, keep getting stronger. Like I said, this year might be a step too far in terms of the playoffs, or they'll get close. But next year they've already they've already announced a new international. Well, not international. Sorry, they've already announced a Premiership finalist last year, hooker. I can't remember his name, so apologies. We normally get stick for names because it's not our strong suit, is it? But they've just announced that already for next year, so they're already on the
Australia one.
The Australia hooker.
They
announced last night. He played in the NRL Grand Final for Brisbane, so they're at it. Dad's covered it. They're at it. They're going to be a team to watch over the next 3 or 4 years. I'll be excited to see if they can make it to the top 2, 3, 4 into that top team bracket. There's nothing telling me they won't, but I think at moment 8th, love what they're doing. Can't wait to see Ellis get 3 or 4 games this year. Can't wait to see Rowan Stevenson come up in hooker half. They've got loads of young lads coming through that they're going to try build up.
Do you both agree if this were a share option, would you buy Wakey at 10 pence?
Well, compared to another any.
Yeah, if this were a share option, I think of all the clubs there, the one club I'd buy into
go for
is Wakey.
Wakey or Leigh, I'd say the two for me.
I think Leigh have already done that. I think Wakey's the one who you'd buy at the right price, and you'd I think Wakey next 3 years talking about them being top four club without doubt.
And I know from speaking to Matt Ellis recently at a game, his dream is to have a 3/3 majority Wakefield squad full of young homegrown players, English-based players, winning the grand final, and that's a great target. That is a very
Who
good
said
target.
that, mate?
Matt Ellis
Said as well.
Yeah. For 3 years. Oh, for God's sake. Ah, dear me. We're moving on. Right, Warrington Wolves. Wow. Year 2 for Sam Burgess. Again, similar to St Helens and Wigan. Very, very limited ins and outs. Nobody knew really quite what to expect last year with Sam Burgess when he took charge, but he certainly delivered a really exciting team full of attack, a flair. They defended well. There was a lot of experience and a lot emergence of those young homegrown players like Conor Wrench, Kyler Taylor-May.
Fewless. No,
Fewless, who's now at London. I'm thinking of Aaron Lindop. Well, there's the two for Ulysses.
Yeah.
There's Josh and Jake. Yeah, I tell you what, we've talked about Huddersfield and praise Huddersfield for their youngsters coming through. There's a hell of a lot coming through at Warrington, which is probably why they have Keithley, and they've also got the dual reg in the Championship with Widnes, and they've sent a few on loan to London this week. So it's really, really exciting. I spoke to Sam Burgess at the Super League launch, and I asked him a question about, is there anything you can take from last season into this new season? And he referenced the Challenge Cup final display. He says that was a really disappointing bit of pill, to swallow. There was a lot of expectation, they can win it for Simon Moran, the owner, who's putting in 1.5 to 2 million yearly. And
Stuart this tour.
Yeah, Stuart Middleton as well. So, he wants to go better. He wants to achieve success. Obviously, they ended up with a 3rd place finish in the playoffs. They got past St Helens in that gripping tie. And oh boy, when you think back to that game against Ulkiston Rovers, they were there or thereabouts. It was only 10 points to 8, and they had the try disallowed with 90 seconds to go. I know it was a clear no try, but on any other day, they could have been against Wigan in that grand final. I think when you look at where things are going to be a bit difficult, obviously they have lost Matty Nicholson, Joe Dudson, Josh Drinkwater, Matty Russell, John Bateman. They have brought in, like I say, just 3 players: Ollie Leyland from London, Dan Russell from St George, Alfie Johnson. I think out of those players, Dan Russell probably has the biggest job because he's a direct replacement for Matty Nicholson and John Bateman. So there's a lot of pressure there. But Sam, when you speak to him, is confident with what he's got, which is why there haven't been wholesale changes. He's investing in those young players. And like I say, I have Warrington challenging for that top spot with Ulkar and Wigan. I think they will just fall short 3rd. But it's going to be another positive season for Sam and Warrington. And who knows, they might be in a Challenge Cup final or a grand final.
I'm looking at that, and I've got them 3rd. Reasons being, I think they'll always absolutely put people away, put teams away. They've got that flamboyance when they play. I love the emergence of the little 7.
Leonaise.
We talked about him from the academy. We loved it when he come through. He'll have to be back to give him that other thing. I think young Leyland played brilliant actually against Leigh in the friendly. So good on that little lad. He were fabulous, absolutely buzzing around. I think if I thought they could consistently win 4 or 5 games on the trot, I'd probably have them higher than 3rd. I just don't know if they are that, where I just look and say Warrington can go to top 6 clubs, 2 or 3 of them on the trot and beat them. I always think they throw a result in, or maybe 1 or 2 that you go, oh no, and I don't know whether Wigan and Ulkar definitely didn't last year. Historically, last year, there was very consistent. I think I don't know how many Ulkar lost in all year 3 and whether Wigan lost, whatever it was. But I think that's my problem with Warrington. I'd like to think that they could play. They play such an high brand that I don't know whether it's really hard for them to keep that all season and win it. Actually, because you look at Warrington, you'd say, yes, got a chance of winning it. I don't think that consistency every week is there. And I think until Sam finds the key, and by the way, Tony Smith never found the key, Pricey never found the key, and we had one more, Powley never found, Powley certainly lost the key. So I don't think the last 4 or 5 coaches, Tony probably got the nearest to acquiring that thing, but Sam's got a hell of a job on his hands to get that. If they can get that, and they're not singing in the aisles, next year's your year, whatever they sing, and everyone says the same thing. I don't know whether that rat's fully off the bat yet. I think what Sam did do was play a load of young players which give everybody the love. They go into the ground. The only thing to the people of Warrington and the fans of Warrington is, I don't know if anybody else noticed this, everyone else seems to be selling more. Warrington's is actually not as, it's going like that. And I don't know whether Fitzy will be on it, what Carl's like, and they'll be on it, but I watched the Toby King testimony and I'm quite shocked looking around thinking, Leigh have brought 1,800, whatever they brought, and the Warrington fans were 3,000, and then maybe a mixture. Do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, is it something where the public in Warrington are they not believing it, or are they not? Do you know what I'm saying? Or whether because do you think because there's always a lot of movement in players that they don't get that? Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know what it is. I look at Ulkayar and you think, who's a franchise player at Ulkayar? You'd say Mikey because he's homegrown and he's this superstar. I don't know whether the Warrington fans have that. They should do. They've got Ben Curry, George Williams. He's not their own, but he's probably the best halfback of the last 10 years. I don't know what it is, but I think if the fans engage with the staff, with the club, me and Joe, I went to the under 18s and the reserves last week, got some unbelievable players. The young fullback, honestly, Taylor Ray, absolutely just. Do you know the last one I've seen like him? Who was the lad at Saints, the fullback who sets Super League alight, and then Ben Barber. It's that type of that running where there's a freedom to the running, and he glides. So I think they've got all sorts going off, and they're sexy, but we want them to be consistent. Do you know what I mean, Mick? If you were out in the nightclub, you're not looking for, the dressed in pink.
You're looking for the 190. You're looking for
you're looking for, that person who could share. Go on, Joe. I'm
I know it's Valentine's week, but
I've got them third, guys, and I'm happy with that. Joe.
Yeah. I think you covered it all well. I like the consistency. You mentioned a key thing there. They've not had that consistency over the years. There's always a turnaround. There's always a squad rehaul. They've signed one player that's in the top 30. I don't think he's even in the top 13. Let me just double check. Where's his name there? Yeah, he's not. He's Dan Russell's number 26. So if you're talking about starting 13s, it's exactly the same.
Brilliant.
Exactly the same as last year. You've got Leon Hayes, that year older, the best pair of legs you've ever seen on a young lad. He's there, he's strong as an ox. He's there, he'll rip apart anyone. I like him because he represents. It gives all the small lads hope in the sport. I think I might be taller than him, which is an impressive feat for someone of my stature to be taller than him. But you know what? He's much better than sport I was. I'm a decent tennis player, but no professional, Mick. And I really like what they've done. As you both mentioned it, I'll hammer it down. What he did for the youth of Warrington last year, Sam Burgess, to be fair, cannot be understated. It's been the number one criticism for Darryl, for them all, years after years.
Tony brought something when he first come.
Come, and then he went away, and it's been years since a full stretch of young players have been given a chance, whether they've all nailed it or whether they've earned they've all been given a chance. Sam's revitalised, give energy to this team that hasn't, I think, was my main concern with him over the last couple of years. Even when we thought we had the board, we've still not wiped the board from 2 years ago, the one over there where we've got Warrington winning it all, and it's on. I think he's got a good team. I think that Challenge Cup win there. But the one thing I'd say is they've got depth, but it's not a crazy amount of depth compared to, you look at your Hull KRs, and it's filled with a lot of young names. That shows how much Sam trusts them.
Well, probably cap issues as well, John.
Probably cap issues, because
I thought they'd have gone for more forwards.
The top 14 have got that much spending in there. So, yeah, I'm all behind them. I think it's a fantastic team. I've got them in fourth. I think I love Saints, love KR, love Wigan. I think they're in the fourth. Like Dad said, consistency, a bit of thing. They need to get something. I think they need to make another final. They're that sort of team. I think the Challenge Cup's the one for them this year. They got to the final. Like I said, a lot of hurt feelings. We had a few players around the cup. We were speaking to Gary.
That was his motivation.
Yeah, there were a lot of things didn't quite go right that day, and I think they'll be looking to make that final and change a lot and give the fans a trophy at the minimum. Obviously, the grand final's the one they want, but I think the Challenge Cup's the one. Great side, exciting to watch. I'm not quite in that Wigan Saints KR for me. A bit different, but outstanding team. They're going to have some fun, as always. Dufty, Fewlis, Matty Ashton going to score. There's going to be about 80 tries between them all this year, so it's going to be some fun. Plenty of tries. Warrington Wolves, 4th place. As we'll get on to it, I think they'll win something this year.
Third, 4th. Well, here we go. We conclude the Super League season preview with the champions, the undisputed champions.
We've got some titles, haven't we?
Wigan Warriors, who, of course, won it all in 2024. Not only that amazing World Club Challenge win over Penrith Panthers, the Challenge Cup win against Warrington, the Super League Grand Final against Wilkinson Rovers. They also got the BBC's coveted Team of the Year, replicating those famous St Helens and Wigan sides from years gone by. So how can anything possibly go better for Matty P and Wigan in 2025? Well, I guess it's now all about sustaining that success, continuing that development of those young homegrown players that are coming through Wigan's academy, and perhaps even challenging, the good old Wigan side of the 90s with your Sean Edwards, your Martin Afires, your Andy Farrells, to see just how far this dynasty, it is a dynasty. I remember a few seasons back when St Helens had won a couple in a row and people were talking about dynasties, but I think what Wigan have achieved since, those great St Helens sides probably just surpasses that for mine. And if, as expected, I've got Wigan to finish top, I think they will win silverware again. Whether or not they win it all is open to debate. They do have that tricky but exciting assignment out in Vegas, which, I think both Wigan and Warrington the week after will be vulnerable. But, the squad, when you look at the Wigan squad, it is absolutely packed with class from front to back, with a lot of players either at their peak or they are just approaching their peak. These are household names on the Super League circuit. They don't need any introduction. Bevan French, Jai Field, Luke Thompson. You've got Harry Smith, Junior December, Brad O'Neill. It's amazing, and you can see why when at the Super League launch, I asked Matty P, why did you feel the need not to, bring anybody in? Yeah, they brought in George Hurst, the young forward from Oldham, who's gone back to Oldham, and Sean Long for this year's championship season. But it is pretty much going to be that Wigan side, which was very, very consistent last year. Like I say, they've got depth, they've got a strong academy pipeline, the attacking flair, Bevan French, Jai Field, 2 key playmakers in the Super League. That's why I'm going first. And I can't wait to go to Wigan against Leigh this evening at the DW Stadium, because it's going to be a ripper. 24,000 there, Super League 25, the 30th season of Super League, starting with a bang. And I think, the Battle of the Borough, Wigan v Leigh, it's going to be amazing. But wow, they've got that winning culture. When you look at what Matty Peters installed, the winning culture, that will count for loads. Craig, I just can't see anybody else. I know you've gone with Hull KR top, and I very nearly did put Hull KR top, but I think when you look at the winning culture, everything that Matty Pete's got, it's very, very scary, and it's a very, very brave bold call to knock them off the top, but I've gone with Wigan top, and they will win silverware this year.
I tell you why, I'm giving a little insight into why I'm thinking this, and I will get some stick for the Wigan, especially I don't know if Mike might laugh his head off at me, but I would say, you mentioned it, the Vegas, are they playing Penrith in the World Club?
No.
So that one's been kiboshed, I'd say.
I think, look, the Vegas thing, Craig, the excitement,
No, I'm saying
it's going to have a knock-on effect, yes.
Yeah, and this is how I see it. I think from not to make any changes is that I've never seen, I don't think I've seen it in my tier that a grand final winning team have not made one change. I think Leeds historically say there'd always be one or two.
Yeah, no, I agree.
One or two coming to an end and they just go boom, freshen that up. Football clubs historically always make one or two. Ferguson famously, Alex would definitely bring in just to say, here, Brian McClare, you go in that way, thank you. There's Eric Cantona. Bang, bring Ronaldo in when you thought, Konchelskis, whatever. So it's always been that way. Bravest thing I've seen not to do it. Listen, you've got the best back rower I've seen, young back rower I've seen in the last 20 years is here. December, he's the man. We're going to watch a kid become a world superstar of rugby league. You're very lucky in our time. They've got Bevan, who has lit up the comp, and Jai, but you probably could argue now saying, somebody on about football, or use it football again, Kevin De Bruyne and these being the best overseas. And I've got to say it now, Bevan could go down as the greatest overseas signing of all time if they win again. The setup's fantastic. They've got a top coaching team. Matty Pete's so close to his coaching team. Short, if you haven't met Joey been there, Mick, and we'll take you this year if you're allowed in ground.
I'm going to now.
It's a joke. He's Matty Pete is there with O'Loughlin and Thomas Luluai, and the facilities, the S&C. It is a premier rugby club. They're taking it that way, and all rest now. And I'm afraid to say this because Leeds at one time, I'm not afraid to say it's amazing. Leeds at one time were that club who were going to all American football teams. They were taking it. Kirkstall were building everyone like Wigan are now just blasting everybody off this market. We've got to make sure some teams go with it, because what you don't want, and I'm sure Wigan and Sen don't want, they don't want to dominate for the next 6 years. Because believe me, the views will go lower if somebody don't challenge them. I just think that one decision of not bringing nobody in and the back five, I think there's the key to other players, other teams getting at them. I just think there's a little bit of movement there, and I think a few injuries away, and they're having to listen. They do trust their young kids because they're always brilliant, and we get egg in our face. But the reason I've got KR is just that Reece Martin, a little bit more squad, and bringing in, if you lose Dean Adley, you bring in that type of quality. It's like bang, oh my God, bang. I think they've got cover in every area, whereas Wigan, I think if they get one or two, it'd shake it up. Certainly, if anything happened to Harry, what would happen? You'd have Bevan, and I'm saying, I don't even know, you lads can give me a little bit of that.
It'd be the young lad.
The young lad who we like, wouldn't it? So you're relying on an 18-and-a-half-year-old, 19-year-old kid. There's just little things. That's why I've got them second. It's not a detriment to them. They're amazing. They're the best club in the mid. I'd say them and Penrith are the biggest clubs in the world. At the moment, the most progressive clubs, are them two. Wigan have got the investment they reckon they've got in that's going in next 3 years that I don't even want to. Honestly, I've seen the plans. Well, I've not seen them direct, but I've talked about some of the plans. And if it comes off, again, the other clubs are going to have to. I don't even know how they're going to do it, because how do you keep with something like that? If they keep on winning and developing, their hardest things, and they've done it.
It's a dynasty. It's with the second Wigan dynasty after what happened in the 90s.
To get the young lad to sign a 4 or 5 year deal as well, and whether there's clauses, I don't know, but to get the young lad is the biggest intent I've seen of a top club making sure that they get there. And you know what? Somebody said to me, I've heard they have to give him X amount. Cheap at the price. Let me tell you, when they said about certain players, cheap at the price. If you pay $250,000, cheap at the price. This kid is a phenomenon. This kid, I'm telling you, I'm talking, he's going to be something that you have not seen. We haven't had, when's the last time we had the number one player in the world? Honestly, both of you, when's the last time we can say we had the best player in the world bar none?
Probably Martin Afire.
No, I'd say Sam Burgess for about a year. We're close. We're in that 3 or 4.
Yeah.
At 19, he was putting everyone away, wasn't he?
Stuart Fielden, Pete Stuart Fielden. I'd have Stuart Fielden.
But then you might have always had a Andrew Johns, or you might have had a Locke.
You might have had a year in the top 5.
Yeah, but Danny didn't go on that international. I'd always have Danny on the thingy stage.
Tompkins,
went to NRL.
Andy Farrell 98, peak 98.
Yeah,
Andy Farrell 98.
So
I would say
the only time we've had it, definite were Ellery. I think Ellery in that peak year when he did Balmain and he did.
I would say Martin Afire, Andy Farrell, Ellery. That's going back.
Where you could say and there's still the Aussies would still say no, Wally Lewis, whatever.
Yes,
I think we've got the best young player in the world in our comp, and I think he could want to be the best player in the world bar none, number one. And when them Aussies at the end of the year see him, and when they see what we've got, oh my God, there is going to be what's going off here. I watched him off a 1 yard drop off. He's making 12 metres off a 1 yard drop of a 19, 20-year-old. I don't think it's ever been done apart from Sam. Apart from Sam in his pond when he put Lado away at 18 and a half. This is the real deal. So Wigan second, I'm going to give all KR the benefit of the doubt just because they've got that little bit. And I think Wigan are going to have to, bravest decision I've seen to go back to back with same squad.
Thanks for that short analogy.
Sorry, Andy. Sorry, I got going there, didn't I? Apologies.
No, there's not much more to cover, though, to be fair. You've covered it all. I think, like I said, depth in the outside backs, because if you've got Kieran Wardle, Marshall, Miskey, then you're dropping in here, unless I'm missing some names here, your next one, Zach Eckersley, who had some good games. Can he do it consistently? He had some quieter games, but he's been a good player, because the pack's unbelievable. They've got... It's up to number 20. They've got just full big name. Harvey Hill's going to be a phenomenon as well. And Sam Walters, 21. So you go up to 21 after the 13, and they're all set for Cruz isn't. So they're all big. They're all big packs. The pack's going to be the number one in the comp.
100%.
So then it's the outside backs, isn't it? As you said, there's only Eckersley, and then you look back, and then you're talking Jacob Douglas, Jacob Douglas. Noah Hodgkinson's, you're talking very, very young. I think Noah them played in the academy final last year, so you're talking extremely young. So, yeah, Dad's noted the one position, but they've got the firepower to come and get it. The cap there, I presume, in that first 21 will be ginormous, but the rest of them are extremely young lads. I presume they'll be able to make some moves to bring in an outside back or two. I wouldn't be worried. I've got them top. I don't think they're doing the 4-peat. I think there's enough good teams to challenge them. Last year, there was only really KR, Warrington that were in that top bracket. I think Saints are going to enter it again. Everyone's talking about Leeds. Catalans have gone all in. Leigh, even the 7th, 8th, Wakefield, they're not quite that, but I think there's enough good teams now to compete and stop them winning everything. But are they going to probably dominate the league again? Yes. Have they got the biggest pack in the league by probably double? Yes, and I think that's why they win the league and come top of the table this year.
Wow. Let us know in the comments if you agree with part 2 and our predictions and thoughts. Clearly, looking at some of mine, I've got very little change. Probably the seismic change is having St Helens outside of the playoffs for the first time. And like I say, I really hope Paul doesn't lose his job, but I know Craig's kind of said Mike Rush wouldn't pull the trigger, but I think, if it's another disappointing season, who knows? But I wish Paul and Saints the best. But Craig's gone Folkies and Rovers over Wigan. Big call. I think Joe's, pretty much spot on with some of his as well. And, I know some people might think, oh, well, you all sat next to each other copying. Trust me, these were all locked in before we did this. I shared mine last week. We are going to now do the Man of Steel. Last year, Mikey Lewis. I think Mikey Lewis will be challenging once again, but I'm going to go with Bevan French.
Easy, Mikey Lewis.
Joe.
There's only December will challenge him.
I don't think we need to do too much great analysis.
No,
Jimmy go with Brodie Croft.
Jimmy went with Brodie because he's got Leeds in that third spot. I'm going to go... Because I've got Saints coming back, so I'd probably have a Saints player in, but then who's going to... is the one stand out? I'll go Michael Lewis. Is he the first ever? No, he won't be the first ever double in a row, 2 in a row, but I think 2 in a row for Mikey. Like I said, out of them top 4, who's going to be the standout in one of them teams in the top 4? Him alone. I think it's him or George at Warrington, but I think it's Mikey.
We'll do the Challenge Cup final prediction because obviously that comes before the grand final. I think it'll be Leeds versus Wigan, and it will be silverware for Wigan.
At the Challenge Cup?
Yes, Leeds versus Wigan. But by the way, I do predict, I won't name this championship side, but I do think there will be a championship side that make it to at least the quarter-final.
One thing I will give you on that, Mick, I spoke to people the next day after everyone was slaughtering Cass, and I didn't think it was bad results as people made out. I still don't. I said this to Danny the other day. There's not one club fancy with Bradford. I spoke to 2 chairmen. They all went, bored, who don't you want to need more Bradford in that? In that. A lot of them don't want that.
I spoke privately with Brian Noble, and Brian said the same. He said that, again, this isn't on this week's interview, but yesterday I was with Brian, and I know we're doing the Super League, but Brian did say the greatest compliment is when you hear from those Super League coaches saying, we do not want to come to Wadsall.
No.
At all.
My grand final is going to be...
No, Challenge Cup final first.
Challenge Cup Wake, you're going to be in it.
Wow.
100%. And I'll go for... be spicy if Warrington played Wakey because of Powley's exit there. I think that'd be like... I think if Powley said to you on his own, we can't win league, but we could win Challenge Cup, and he could get
100%.
And if he could get Warrington to put all that right, I'm going to have Warrington Wakey because I'm dreaming in my head.
I've got Warrington winning the Challenge Cup.
Against who?
And I think it'll be Warrington versus... I think Warrington versus like a Leigh. I think Leigh, like I said, Leigh, and I think Warrington win.
Well, there you go.
Wow, none of us have put the top 2 in the Challenge Cup.
So there we go. Yeah, none of us have got O'Cara or Wigan in the Challenge Cup. I mean, they might meet each other in the next round. The draw's on Saturday. On to the grand final, the big one. I am going to make a very, very big, bold call, and this will be music to people's ears. I'm sorry, Matt P. I think you will make the semi-finals. You will finish top. You will get the League Leaders Shield and the Challenge Cup. But I am predicting a semi-final defeat, and the grand finalists for 2025 will be Warrington Wolves and Hull Kingston Rovers. And for the first time since Bradford were in the Super League, there will be a new name on that Super League trophy. That is another big, bold call. And I've got Hull Kingston Rovers to use the learning curve, the experience of that big occasion last year against Wigan. They will go one better. They'll finish second. They will pick Wigan and Matt Pete to the grand final. Hull Kingston Rovers fans, get ready. One hell of a journey is about to accumulate with the final at Old Trafford. Don't ask me for what score. I think it'll be a very 10-8. 11-10, real tight, good defensive game. But yes, I have Hull Kingston Rovers beating Warrington in the grand final.
So I'm going to throw someone like you in. I've got Hull KR winning the league, and I just think that because of the squad depth. But I think on a one-off game, it's different. Playoff time's different. And I think I really believe if Saints get there, and the big challenge will be for Saints getting that young squad and them new people in there to get there. If they do, Saints will know what to do, and they could be if it turns from this year, and Murphy and the fullback and the wingers, and it just clicks. No one would want Saints in playoffs. I tell you now, nobody. If they can get there, no. I'm going to put them and Wigan in final. And honestly, and if Saints get there, but I've got to say, I still think Wigan on that one-off. So my grand final winners are Wigan, and they'll play Saints in the final. If Saints arrive in the playoffs, there'll be some tries in them.
Wow.
You've kind of stole my fun because I have Saints as my not shocked team, but everyone's going the opposite way of them struggling. I think they'll really succeed. I think I've got, based on my table, you've got to do it so it'd be Wigan v Warrington, Saints v KR, so I can't, if I'm getting too particular with it. Yeah, I think in my ideal world, even though the league doesn't really allow for it, I think it would be Saints KR in the final, or Wigan/Wigan. God, that's a tough call, isn't it? That's a really tough call. But I'm gonna go the Saints come marching in, win the grand final.
Wow. So we've got Jimmy saying Wigan. I've gone for Hull KR, and we've got 2 for St Helens to win.
Wigan.
No, he's
You've got Wigan. Sorry, yeah. But you both got Saints in the grand final.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing. I've enjoyed that. Have you?
Let us know in the comments, please, where you agree, where you disagree.
We've got 2 more quick ones if you fancy.
Well, let's be quick then.
Top try scorer.
Tommy Makinson, I think.
Tommy Mack at Catalans.
I'm going to back him at Catalans. Yeah.
I'm going to go Mikey Lewis. I think he's got about 40 tries in him this year. If he really.
I'm with Joe. I'm going to go Mikey Lewis to be the top try scorer and man of steel.
40.
Yeah, I think he's capable of.
Well, if he gets 40 tries, he is man of steel. He'll be the greatest ever player Super League season ever if he gets 40 tries.
I'm not even get 40.
Well,
I know. I'm talking in jest.
Yeah.
I'm on that.
And then young player of the year.
Player, look,
December has to win it.
Junior December.
Yeah, if you say how else, he'll get locked up. No, you will, seriously. You'll get they'll ban you from.
Well, I was just looking to see if there's any other. I'll give a few other options.
Name a couple of options.
That's what I was trying to give. Obviously, Wigan don't really have one in that top 13, do they? Obviously, it's December. No, December.
You had somebody on the
thing with the young player is, obviously, you've got to hit a certain number of games.
It's locked up.
This is the home run. This is
listen, of all the bets you've got on, of all the predictions you've got on here,
at Warrington.
This is
all the predictions, the easiest ones.
This is the horse on the motorbike. Yes.
This is.
Yeah, it is. I tried to.
Well, maybe it might fall off the motorbike. To be fair, but yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. Watch out for the Championship preview and the League One preview and all our other amazing shows on Show Me the Money Rugby League TV. And if you've watched this far, we appreciate it. Myself and Craig have a very special show with the latest involving the coalition.
Joe, have that one.
No, I'm going anyway.
No, he said he's going. The coalition of clubs who are putting pressure on the hierarchy at the RFL. But look, the season starts tonight. Wigan, Leigh. Great weekend of rugby league. You've got Leeds against Wakefield on Saturday, which I'm going to, which I'm really looking forward to. Huddersfield, Sam Burgess against Tom Burgess, Huddersfield, Warrington. You've got Saints against Salford. You know, poor Danny Maguire taking Castleford to Hull KR. That could be a real tough
shock.
Or a shock win.
Come on, Dan. Dan's the man.
And the final game, Catalans, of course, at home to Hull FC. Tommy Makinson, hat-trick. Right, no worries. Thank you for joining us. We'll do it all again soon.